Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
Steve Morris.
What's going on, Steve?
Not much. Enjoying the rain, the cloudiness.
People probably wonder why, usually when the show starts, I'm laughing or whatever. It's usually because you say something that gets me laughing.
We got to start off the show in a good mood.
That's true. That's true. Uh, yeah, we got. Well, let's mention this now because I will forget before we get to the end of it all. After we're done, I'll be like, oh, yeah, I should have mentioned it. This is show number 45. Can you believe it?
That's a lot. I do believe it.
It's crazy. 45 shows. Twin State Paving still sponsoring us. Message. I'm like, hey, you want to sponsor for another month? Yeah, all right. Wow. Supposed to actually come out and check your driveway out today.
Yeah, no, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Some big cracks in it.
I gave you like a month, so I figured I'd just do it for you.
Yeah. Well, if I can't, it's a long driveway.
Yeah, I told her. I told Steve. I said, if you don't seal coat this, even if you wait until next year, but if you don't do it soon, you'll end up replacing your driveway. Which this is probably a $50,000 driveway, and obviously they'll look at it and tell you, like they'll tell you if it's maybe I'm wrong on that, but I don't think so because it's a long driveway, and plus the costs are going up. But so, anyways, I want to say that I was
It's
just
about
like
a quarter mile long.
it's
Just
a
so
long,
there's some reference there if people are like, oh.
yeah, no, it's a long driveway, and yeah, it's not your typical.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't panic and think, oh, Steve's driveway's gonna be 50 grand. I can't afford Twin State Paving. No. Steve doesn't have
basically a county road.
Yes, you don't have a normal driveway. Your driveway is probably, I don't know, 600 feet from the road. I don't know.
That's a quarter mile. Like
Is that what it is?
in
Yeah.
the car, it gets almost like 0.23, maybe something like that.
Yeah, no, you have a long driveway, so normal driveways don't cost this much. So this is why it's important to make sure you do the care and everything too.
Right. Well, I've been trying to take care of it, but
Yeah, no,
I've
it's
probably
good.
been using some bad products. Probably not.
No, it doesn't look bad. No, I think if you could seal coat it, that'd be good. That would really help preserve it for longer period of time because that's a big nut to crack.
It's an investment.
That's a second mortgage on your house. Like,
Yeah, well, it's like getting the kitchen replaced.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
You got to budget for it and save up.
Absolutely. Also, Wicked Awesome Adventures. Thank you for sponsoring the show. Just a couple more weeks here. She's sponsoring us, and she can do a month now, and she wants to do a month in January. Which these are probably the two prime times. She knows what to do or whatever. But so any vacation stuff you want to reach out to her, and any specials. I just saw that she booked a trip to a Sandals. I think it was in Barbados. I was like, oh, kind of envious in a way.
Yeah, I'd rather go to Miami myself.
You like
I
Miami?
don't know. I've never been to Miami. I'm just saying I'd like to stay in the States.
Yeah, but that doesn't help her sell travel. So it's like,
No, but you can go. There's places in the U.S.
There's
Hawaii,
I know, and that's the funniest thing. I've been to like almost all the Caribbean places. I've never been to Hawaii. Never been. I don't know if it's the flight because it's 12 hours.
That's a long flight if you go direct.
It's a long ways, but any of those things, she can help you with any of those things, or even if you want to do like a road trip, out west on Route 66, and any of those things, she can help you with. So reach out to her and.
Yeah, I'm just giving you my own personal opinion for
Yeah,
travel.
I know. You never been to Miami?
No.
No. I've been there a lot of times. So I cruised out of there a bunch of times. I've never been to any of those beaches though that you see like those Miami Vice beaches, and I've never seen any of them. But
CSI Miami.
yeah, I've never seen any of those those beaches. Like, hey, I like hanging on that beach. Yeah, I've never. No.
The furthest south I've been is probably Orlando.
Oh, you're missing all the good part of Florida then.
Yeah.
Well, I've been in Tampa a lot. Like, we go to Tampa quite a bit. I actually have a storage unit in Tampa that has my fishing stuff in it because flying back and forth with it, it's expensive and it's a pain. And we try to go down there a couple times a year. And then we go to this, there's just I don't know, it's not a hotel, but it's not really a resort either, but something kind of in between. It's almost like a little condo, because it has a kitchen and stuff. And then I'll fish off their pier, and I've caught a bunch of catfish and stuff, so that's really fun. But yeah, I like Miami's nice. Like, I like Miami. Like I said, I've never been to like middle city Miami. Like it's always kind of, I'd always fly into Fort Lauderdale because it was cheaper, and then a few times stay in Hollywood Beach at Jimmy Buffett's, which is really cool. That's a fun little place too. So that's another place that if you want to check out, Christy could hook you up with. But um, we got some rain that we needed last night.
Yeah, it's much needed. Now the sun looks like it's finally peeking out.
Yeah, now it
There's
looks
a
like it's starting to come through.
dark cloud out towards, what is that, New London? Sunapee? Mount Sunapee's that way.
Whatever that direction over there is, yeah. So
East.
took the tarp off this morning that you'd lent me, and I was like, man, I didn't prepare for this because it had a big puddle in the middle. So we had have gotten a fair amount of rain because it was, I bet there was a 5-gallon bucket of water in the middle of it.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like trying to get it off without having it go all over the concrete and totally, wreck the whole purpose of that tarp. And so it still had some, it was still damp. So hopefully it'll still be good. But yesterday in the rain, I like put the forms up. So I hopefully can just go do the concrete today. And then we're going to a Red Sox game tonight with her uncle who hasn't been since 1985.
Wow.
Which I was like, you haven't been since 1985? That's crazy. Like, and we're taking Danielle. She's the last of the kids that hasn't had a chance to go yet. So, yeah, should be fun.
Who are they playing?
Tampa Bay. They played them last night. I went to bed in the ninth. They were losing 8-4. Pretty sure they lost it. It was kind of rainy too down there towards the end of the game, and just a rough day for them. But they won the day before, so we'll see. This will be a good. Supposedly, there's a new pitcher coming up from AAA that they say could be like the next Pedro Martinez, which would be cool because if he does turn into something good, I can be like, yeah, was that his first game that he ever pitched?
It's a lot of pressure to put on someone. Call him the next anything.
Yeah, he's from the Dominican. Most people from the Dominican are like signed at 16, and he wasn't signed until 18. But he just kept working for it and said, no, I'm going to keep trying. And it's crazy the amount of mostly Dominicans, but like American baseball is.
It's all Central American.
Yeah,
baseballers.
there's less and less American people playing it now, and which whatever. I was disappointed though that Franchi, who was on the Red Sox, can't remember his last name now, but he speaks no English. I was just kind of disappointed because I was like, you should at least
have a translator.
Yeah, I was like, you at least should learn it. Like I know you're always going to have an accent. Like Big Papi has an accent, but he can speak English. Like so, hopefully.
He's probably learning it because I know the Astros had a player or have one. I don't know if he still uses an interpreter, but every once in a while they try to give out the broken English. You know what I mean? So I don't think that they're not learning it. It's just a matter of
I'm sure he knows
ease
some
of communication between the
because
newscaster and him.
He must communicate with his players, So
some Japanese players have had.
Yeah, we had that guy. I can't remember his name either, but he's a tall guy from. He might have been from China. I don't know, but we had a pitcher. He had a translator. He didn't speak any English or barely spoke English, and he was pretty good. Our bullpen's not been good this year, though.
Hey, send me or you over to Japan as anything and tell us to pick up the language and lose the interpreter.
There's no chance. No chance. I will 100% concede to that. 100%. There's no chance. Especially Japan, Chinese, or Japanese and Chinese. Like, no. Spanish, I could get it. It'd take a while. I'm not going to say it wouldn't. Because I actually like when I go to like Spanish countries now because I can understand signs. Not necessarily like can read the Spanish, but I can put it together. Because a lot of times if you can just pick up a certain couple words, just like in English, you'll read those weird things that, the first letter and the last letter are messed up, but you can still read it or whatever. So I like going, that's like the best place to learn. If you're going to actually learn Spanish, is go to a Spanish-speaking country. Because now you're just totally surrounded by it. It's so much easier than picking up a book or watching videos online. Like,
no, I've taken several different foreign languages over the years and could speak barely nothing. I could barely speak it.
Barely speak it.
I can barely speak the language. In case there's any English teachers watching.
I wonder too because all the kids have taken Spanish for a year or two and all this, and I'm like,
Zeta took Chinese, Spanish, I want to say she's had one other language that she's taken over the years because different schools do it differently.
Yes.
So
Yeah, Newport only offers Spanish and
high
French, I
school.
think.
I mean, I don't know. Do they have French
I
still?
don't even know if they have French anymore. It's tough because you have to have obviously a teacher that's fluent in it, and then we can't afford just to hire a French teacher. You need someone that can do other things because we just don't have the money to do that. But um, yeah, no, it's cool. Like Chinese though, that's pretty cool that you could learn that. Yeah, it's nice like because if you
I don't know if it was like Chinese or if it was like Cantonese or
some sort of
some other, but it was. I can't remember.
not the normal.
Was it in Kentucky or Hawaii? Hawaii would seem the more logical, but I
Yes,
think it was in
but you
Kentucky.
actually think it was in
Yeah,
Kentucky?
in 8th grade.
Interesting. You would definitely think Hawaii. Um, yeah, it's funny because if you go, it's like I've been to Italy before, and so Italian and Spanish are similar. They're not the same. Italian's more like I don't know. It's more a romantic language. It's a little more like pizzazz in it, but you can kind of pick things up. Um, but then like my buddy's wife was she was from Brazil, and speaks Portuguese, and she's like, I kind of can understand some Spanish, but because Portuguese is still quite a bit different, it's not as easy to transfer between Italian and Spanish as Spanish and Portuguese. So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Interesting.
interesting. Here's your language lessons of the day from the Tim and Steve show. Someone that probably struggles more than anyone to
I'm over here
speak
talking the slowest rate of speech ever. You talk super fast.
and can't pronounce half the words that I read. I gotta be honest with you. I really, really think it's time for glasses because
That or you need to expand that.
maybe
I
I
mean, what
wonder,
if we were to like all of a sudden hit it big? You get a breaking news story. You
but
know,
it didn't get.
you're gonna have to be able to read some. Why isn't it?
I don't know. It didn't get bigger. It's just stretched out more
Yeah,
free
just stretch
space
out the
here.
screen. That's weird.
Anyways, yeah. So when I try to read things, it's like,
See, like I can zoom all the way
yeah,
in.
it must be a freaking Apple thing or a
That's
Mac
why I
thing.
don't do Apple or Mac.
Yeah. See, my phone, I can do that. Yeah, we'll figure that out. Maybe I should start printing them out and just reading them again. Trying to be saving paper and be a little more fancy, having a computer. And
16-point font.
yeah, I don't know. At this point, I might need the old
Like
18
20.
point, 20, bold. Uh, yeah, so I'm excited to see how the garden looks today because we got a lot of rain last night. And um, hopefully that was a good thing, which we should have been because it was all pretty
Yeah.
dry.
That'll be time to put trellis up soon, like this week.
Yeah. And that's for what?
The tomatoes, the tomatillos, I might put some up for the winter squash just because the pumpkins grew better, I think, whenever they climbed up on my fence last year. So I might put something up out there to give it a little bit of something to get it up off the ground so the air can dry out the leaves because it'll help prevent powdery mildew. And then I'm going to trellis the peppers, eggplant, basically everything except for, and then even the cucumbers have trellis so that they can get up off the ground and crawl out.
Well,
The peas need trellises.
yeah, the peas are. My parents always put a fence down
Beans.
so it would crawl up them because you had to do that with those. That's the only thing they were. My aunt was gonna. She lived in Missouri. She was gonna put like pallets up, so like triangulate them and then grow up on that, like up on that. But how does the squash or the pumpkin, or whatever, doesn't like tear off because it gets heavy?
Well, if it's something heavier, like if it was the pumpkin, so the pumpkins that I had were probably a little bit bigger. Maybe like the biggest one I have was like a dodgeball size, and that was on the ground. But some of the smaller ones, now if they're heavy enough, then you need to put like pantyhose or something and then tie it up to hold it.
Pantyhose.
That's a life hack I saw on some. I wish I could give the channel credit, but I watched it on some YouTube channel.
Interesting.
There's other things you could use. If
Yeah.
you find like netting of some kind or whatever. But pantyhose made a good one because it's stretchy and it flexes out, so the fruit can continue to grow or the gourd.
Now, could you just like literally put it up on a pallet so it stays off the ground that couple inches, and then because you're trying to keep it off the wet ground, right?
Yeah, well, you want the leaves to have the airflow through it. So if they're all on the ground, they're not going to get as much airflow as if they're up and growing over, and
Right,
that'll
right.
produce the help prevent the powdery mildew. You might still get it, but maybe won't be as bad. But yeah, so I'm going to probably put two of those cattle panels together for my
Yep.
cucumbers and just let them grow over it.
And
Because
that'll be fine
I have
because
them
they're
planted
smaller.
in like four, like rows of four or columns of four. And so I'll just put the two in between, and the ones in the middle, I might hang like a string or tie a string down and let it crawl up, and then come up over the top. Microphone. I got
That's
all
cool.
kinds of ideas. I just need to go out there and execute them.
So we've kind of not done much farming Fridays lately, but that right
Well, we've
there
been
makes
talking
up
about
for it.
we've been talking about the economy and it's building up to as it relates to.
Well, soon our gardens will be like something picture worthy. We'll be like,
Yeah, I'll put some pictures up.
we'll have to definitely do that. Show the progress, and no, I'm super excited. I do want to get a greenhouse for the winter, and I was like, wow, we put a wood stove in there and stuff, and my friend's like, you'd be surprised, like you don't even need a wood stove in it, even if
Yeah, you
it's
said that a few times. I've
yeah,
never really commented, but I'm like, if you keep it to the ground
yeah.
and
She said that you don't. It gets. She says there's these things they make to put over the plants at night so nothing freezes, but other than that, just the sunlight itself should keep it warm in there, like warm enough. So
yeah, like it'll.
yeah.
Because granted, I left mine indoors, but even indoors,
Because she knows someone in Maine
like
that
super
is
hot.
really good at it. She's like, if you ever get into like really get into it, I can make that connection with this guy who has done a lot with running a greenhouse in the winter. So I was like, yeah, that might be something down the road because
Yeah,
that'd be
I don't
good
know
to
if I
do.
can convince Nikki to let me build a greenhouse or put one up.
Yeah, I don't know.
It'll just take time. I'll just have to. If you do something nice, then maybe I can copy off of you.
I was looking at just buying one. I seen some on, but they're kind of expensive. Like I was looking at like a glass one.
Uh,
They're like 8 or 9 grand. Just thinking, like the greenhouse the school has is beautiful because it's. If, I'm worried if I put plastic up, like how long will it last, or will
yeah,
snow take it out, or
yeah. Glass would be a nicer,
yeah, it's like a
more permanent.
permanent structure, and
And then we can write a murder mystery around it because there always seems to be a greenhouse involved
yeah,
with
that's true.
some, that's a trope in murder mysteries. I feel like.
Yeah. Plus, anything, but if you couple $1,000 for a good big like plastic material type one, or if it's 10 grand for one that's gonna last, you know, a long time. I don't know how long, but
Yeah.
as long as you don't break it, it should last forever, I guess, in theory.
Well, at that rate, I'll have to take the bathroom, the kitchen, the driveway. I got a lot. I need to win the lottery.
You have to play first.
Yeah, that's true. I, every once in a while, if I see it's up in the 300 million range, I'll go buy a couple
I know
tickets.
I think that's what everybody does when they see it's like crazy like that. They're like,
Yeah, why not?
"What? Yeah, why not just try it and see what happens? It's worth $1 or $2 or whatever it is now." Like,
Yeah.
I always thought they should do a lottery just in like Sullivan County, so you have to live in Sullivan County, because yes, you wouldn't win as much, but you could still probably win, $50,000. But your chances of winning are so much higher, and if you did it weekly, like the money would spread around a lot faster. Like you'd actually have a good chance at that. Like
Yeah.
I thought it was
I
pretty
like
cool.
it.
Yeah, me too. I would like to be the first one to win. You can be the second one, then Nikki, then Andrea, and then we'll spread it out
We'll
after
spread
that.
it out.
So the school's still looking for a bunch of help. They didn't update their thing yet as far as the new position. I still have a middle school teacher for English, 8th grade from yesterday. But why is my phone doing that? And so the summer performances are for kids are back this Thursday. It's free, family friendly performances on the side of the library. So it's Thursday morning at 10:30, and they have a mime, magician, and comedian, Chris Yeaglin,
Yerlig.
Yerlig. Yeah, you want to read these things? Uh, so if you have some young kids, I actually might say something to Andrew about. Depending how long it lasts, yeah, Alina lasts about 45 minutes. We went down to the rec center on Tuesdays. Was doing a from was it 9 to 10, just like little kids like would go in and play group, because sometimes the little kids don't get to hang out with other kids or whatever. And so we went one day, and it was like, well, the monastery was coming down. They're gonna have a magician come in. So we're like, oh, okay. So there's probably like, I don't know, 50 kids there, maybe more. I don't know. And she lasted with this for about maybe close to 45 minutes. She gets up, she walks over to the stairs to go out, and she's like, bye. She's like, I'm ready to go.
She had enough fun for the day.
She had enough fun for the day. So tomorrow at 10:30, if it's free, and it's right on the side of the library and under the pines there where it's shady and nice. And I would say just bring either a chair or a blanket to sit on with your kids, and it sounds like a good time. So, yeah. And then we'll do this another time this week, and then we'll skip it until next week. But basket weaving, Black Ash, Sunday the 17th from 11 to 2. And it's a Sullivan County complex in Unity. So that'd be pretty cool. Maybe they'd come on the show and like show us how they do it. Be like, listen, we can't make that day, but would you come on the show and just show us how to weave a basket? I've seen it before. I think I could, if you started me, I think I could do a little bit.
Yeah, Zeta learned at a luau or something how to braid. Kind of probably the similar thing. You just got to figure out how to make the bottom go up to the top.
We need to do this in Newport. This would be perfect. Like, and this is close. It's Unity. It's not like you go far, but this would be a fun thing. This would be a fun thing, like even for like the library art center to do. I did say today was for the art class we've been talking about for the kids. They're tie dyeing shoes, but time the show gets on, that'll be over. But I did see that, so I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I'm gonna do that. Farmers Market 3 to 6 every Friday. And the Shauna Jackson Band is this Sunday is a concert on the Common 6 to 8, and yeah.
School board vacancy.
Yeah, because is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow is the deadline. Get your questionnaire. You go to sau43.org. Scroll down a little bit, and you'll see that there's a vacancy on the school board. Submit that.
It's 5 questions, I think.
I think so.
Those are the 5 or 6 questions. Just basically answer the questions and send it to either Jenna or the superintendent, and so they had it, and yeah.
And then you got to show up on the 14th, I think, and get interviewed by the school board members.
Yeah, school board meeting on the 14th.
On the 14th.
Even if you didn't apply for that, you should show up.
Yeah, show up.
Someone was on What's Up
New
Newport.
superintendent.
Yes, someone was on What's Up Newport yesterday complaining about apparently the sprinklers were going off at the high school, and it was raining. And what a waste of money, and blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking to myself, I don't think that the school doesn't pay a water bill. At least they better not, because it's the same freaking taxpayers' money. Like, it'd be like, it wouldn't make sense. They're on a timer. So it's rain, like, and this person doesn't live in Newport, just point that out too. And then complaining about this, I guess the playground's getting updated down at Toll, and which is probably more grant money, I'm assuming. But I was like, people
Toll
just
or Richards? Toll
for the preschoolers.
Oh, on the back or on the side.
Side, yeah.
Okay.
I was like, I could talk about that, but
What they're complaining about? That it needs to, or that it's just
No.
shut down for a few weeks while they.
no, they just said no wonder Newport's taxes are so high, because you're replacing the playground at Toll and you're watering the plants or watering the grass when it's raining.
Yeah, I mean,
First of all, it's on a timer.
yeah, it's on
So that's just, it is what it is. And the little bit of water that spent was cheaper than replacing the field. And as far as the playground, I mean, we could get into that whole thing, but
well, play is important for preschoolers.
no, I agree with that. I'm just thinking the fact that they closed Toll because it wasn't feasible to run that school anymore, and then they put preschool in there, and then we're still spending money in that school, even though they said we shouldn't, and we should, But that was before you. That was before this super. I think this was a little while ago.
Yeah, the whole Toll building is kind of.
It's a stain on our town. It really is, because
I don't know the whole history. I've talked to you about it. I've talked to other people about it, but it seems like
basically they closed it because they said that because it wasn't up to code and blah, 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 which everything was grandfathered in at that point. But as soon as they closed it as a school, now everything would technically have to be brought up to code to put kids back in the school. But somehow they put preschoolers in there, and I don't know. I don't know the answer. Like straight up, I don't know the answer to that. So people are mad because then the SAU moved in. So you're like, well, wait, we wouldn't have to heat it. We wouldn't have to do this. So it's going to save the school money. It didn't save the school money. It costs us actually more money now because now you have that space that you could be using for fourth and fifth graders. Now that are crammed into Richards or so.
Yeah, there's a.
And then people are like, oh, why don't we use that for the rec center? The problem is we can't use it for the rec center because the school owns it. The school owns that property. The town doesn't. And even though it's the same thing, right? Town money, town whatever, taxpayer money. It's not. It's the school's property. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's a sore subject there for a lot of people because, and I honestly feel like tolls some of the reason that's probably cost us the rec center because people remember that and like, well, why don't we just do that? And
yeah, well, I mean, we don't have enough space at Richards.
no,
I'm saying this from my own personal experience, not
right,
speaking on behalf of anyone other than myself.
yeah,
But when I was a substitute there, you have kids trying to do one-on-one reading in the hallway.
right,
Like there's no classroom for them. And I think even one of the teachers brought that up, that it's still going on. And then when I was a long-term librarian, I didn't have an office because they used that for Title I. So they're using the librarian's office, which is not, again, ideal to teach. Not enough space. You know what I mean? That's anyway. There's some space issues, and so I'm always curious of the whole toll situation because you walk in there and it's not every room is being utilized.
that was kind of like a classic bait and switch, from what I can gather. Like I said, I don't know how long ago it was. I mean, it wasn't like
It was before I got here.
it was before you moved here, which was
Well,
what, 19.
didn't Alicia say that they were the last sixth graders?
Yes, that we're at. Yes,
So
so 2001, back up 6 years. So you guys are 2022. So just before you got here, then maybe 16 ish, 2016 ish.
yeah,
Yeah, like I said, it hasn't been that long, but it totally sounded like a kind of a bait and switch kind of thing. Like now, whether that was exactly what the intention was, I can't say that, of course. I didn't know who was on the board then or anything, but yeah, well, whatever.
I'm sure if we're wrong and someone listens to this, they'll talk to us like we're a bunch of jackwagons and talk down to us while they correct us. But I just think that when I walk through there, there's still space available or unused space that I can tell anyway that might alleviate some of those, whether it's adding one grade to it or selling that building and spread. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like I just feel like we have to, as a town, look for ways to save money. So my own personal opinion is we need to look at everything.
Yeah.
Just as individuals, we're all trying to figure out with all the inflation and everything else. You know what I mean? You got to find ways to save money.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, meme of
Like
the
growing your own food.
right. Meme of the day. Old Chuck Schumer. We need to get rid of all assault weapons, and politicians should start by getting rid of their armed security. And let's keep in mind, assault weapon. Assault weapon is assault is a verb. So assault weapon isn't real. So they call an AR-15 assault weapon. An AR-15 is a gun, just like any other gun. But when people use it to assault people, just like this could be an assault pencil, if I was to stab it into your leg, we should ban assault pencils. Also, if we're banning guns because of bad people, we should ban this pencil because I misspell words with it, and it's the pencil's fault, not
It is the pencil's fault.
my fault. Just want to point that out. Yeah. So I've got actually quite a few meme things today, but so we saw this story. When did we see it, Steve? Was it Friday?
Which one is that?
This is a climate change activist that flattened 40 tires in New York City.
Yeah, it was Friday or Saturday. We
Yeah.
talked about it.
So once again, the tolerant leftists, they went around to the gas guzzling SUVs and flattened their tires in New York City, and it just, what is wrong with these freaking people?
I don't know.
What is wrong? Like, so
They
these,
feel like they accomplished something.
yeah, they accomplished something, all right. Now, people that probably, are struggling because gas prices are so high and everything else is so high now need to have to go get new tires on their vehicle, which usually changing your tires on a car at this point probably is around $800.
Depending on the size
Right. So like
and the quality of tire.
my truck is about $1,100, but I would think at this point probably $800 is fairly accurate for most vehicles. Now, like, Lisi has a little Honda Civic. Okay, probably could do that for like $75 a tire. It wouldn't be as bad, but which no, that's the point. The point is
And you're
these
destroying
people.
someone else's property
Yes,
because you think that those vehicles are damaging your way of life.
right. So it's okay, and so
Look, the climate changes every day.
yeah,
Like, I don't understand why that these people don't understand that, like, they can manipulate the data. You can go back. I can recall in the 80s. I thought when I was a kid it was like global cooling, and then it changed to like global warming, or the
well they got
ozone layer was in there for
yeah,
the 90s and
yes,
maybe the early 2000s. I mean, they just keep flip
and it was
flopping,
we're gonna run out of oil.
and it's like a boogeyman to get you scared.
Yeah, because it was global cooling at one point. I think it might have been in the 70s. It was back because I saw a thing once that had it all broke down. Like every 10 years, it's something different. I remember when I was in school, it was ozone. Ozone was a big thing. That and filling up our landfill. So we got these, instead of having cardboard milk containers that you could burn, in theory, uh, we went through these plastic bags because they sit flat in the landfill. And I'm not, like, this is a true freaking story presentation that was told to us kids, was these little bags of milk that you put your straw in. So kind of like one of those juicy juice boxes, but plastic little bag. And because it sits flat in the landfill, it takes up less space versus the cardboard, which takes up more space, which, oh,
But the cardboard will biodegrade over time.
right. But they lasted a few years, then they got rid of it. But so there was that. There was, I remember in school too, like, we're going to run out of oil. We're running out of oil. We got 50 years of oil left. Like, we're running out of oil. We got to get rid of these plastics and all this. And then there was global warming, which I think in the last 100 years or 200 years, the Earth's changed by what? Was it? It wasn't even 2 degrees. It was like
It's like
1.6 degrees.
not even. I don't even. It might have been one, or like 0.9,
Yeah, it
or
was.
1.1. It's
Wasn't
somewhere around the
subtle.
1 degree.
Yeah. And so global warming didn't work because you could disprove global warming real easily.
Right. So now it's climate change.
Now it's climate change because you can't disprove climate
So
change.
climate can change.
Exactly. So, which happens all the time. It's natural, right? So, now I'm not saying that we shouldn't do something to make the environment better
Yeah, we should if we can be cleaner, but that
But
doesn't mean I'm going to stop eating meat.
or drive my car. But, one thing, so I was talking to my,
You see that meme of the guy plugging his car in to charge it, and then behind it was a 10,000 kilowatt generator.
oh, yeah,
So the generator's running on diesel, probably, or gas, or whatever you call it, outside of the military. But anyway, so it's running on that to power the electric charger. So you feel better about driving around an electric car, even though it's being charged by diesel.
yeah, one of my Facebook
Or
friends, yesterday took a picture of a
variation of.
electric car, a brand new one for sale, and you could go up to 267 miles on perfect conditions, but you have to plug it in for 12 hours. So 267 on perfect conditions, so it's gonna be less than that, especially up here in the Northeast.
Yeah.
If it's winter, maybe get 100 miles. I don't
And
know.
we have a lot of hills.
Yeah, and electrical rates are now more than doubling, and you think we should get an electric car because that's going to save the environment. Now, if you really want to save the environment, I was talking to my massage therapist about this yesterday, who, like, she's very liberal and, like, she's a hippie, right? But, so we don't agree on everything. Like, we don't agree on the vaccines and stuff, but we agree on lots of common sense things. And I said, here's the thing. I can get behind environment stuff 100%. How about they say, okay, your washer and dryer, which I now need another dryer by law or something, I don't know, incentive, I don't know how you do it, but it has to last 15 years, 20 years, something like that. Because washers, dryers, refrigerators, all those things used to last for 20 to 30 years. they actually would have a person come in your house and fix your refrigerator, and because it was just part stuff. Now everything is disposable. So if you really want to fix the environment, how about we stop with the disposable crap and actually have things that last, like appliances. That so I don't need a toaster every 6 months. I have a toaster that lasts a while, and so that way you're because you were just blowing through resources, right?
Yeah, you would think.
That
I
would
mean, they
make
do that for
sense,
vehicles. They mandate how many miles
right?
a gallon you can get in cars coming out in the next 5 years, right? So
Yeah.
they've put targets and goals. Sometimes they're
Keep in mind,
mandated, but
my '81 Chevy truck gets the same gas mileage that my 2016 truck gets. So that just tells you, like, and they could do better. They could. It's not an incentive there. So, and I told you this will go against gas companies, which people are like, oh, but no. The reality is, if you had vehicles that got better fuel mileage, which they could do with our technology we have, we'd use less gas, and that would be better for the environment right there. But I mean, come on, a truck shouldn't get 10 miles a gallon anymore. It's been getting 10 miles a gallon forever.
well, there's no incentive, right,
Exactly.
in a pure capitalist because you're always trying to make your investors more and more money, right? Because some is not enough. It's like the deodorant they made 20 years ago that lasted like 4 or 5 days. They pulled it because it diminished their returns because it was so good. People
See,
weren't coming back as often, and so it cut into their profits. So they got rid of that.
I don't get that stuff. It's like, so,
I mean, that's what I heard. You know, it could be an
well,
old
yeah,
lifestyle, but that's what I learned in like either a business class or economics in college. I remember
right.
that exact study. So that was in the 90s.
So if we made a light bulb that
Late
lasted
90s.
forever, provided you didn't drop it, something crazy like that. So you made a light bulb that last forever. It doesn't matter what you sell them for, whatever you sold them for. $10, $15, $20, whatever. Whatever. So I start this company. Me and you start this company. We make millions and millions and millions of dollars. And then we're going to go out of business eventually, right? Because if everyone has one, you're only going to have the occasional break once in a while. You're not going to. But we've made all the money we need to make.
Right. Go
We're
create
now.
another idea.
Yes.
I mean, we say that
I don't get it.
as, we're idealists right now.
Right. I don't get it.
They say, money will corrupt. So
But how much freaking money do you really need?
a lot to some people.
Apparently. Like, I was listening to the radio the other day, and it was like telling the top 20 richest musicians in the world, and they're all like 80-year-old men, like, Paul McCartney was number one, and all these people, and I'm like, which Paul McCartney I think was like $500 million or $700 billion, whatever. I'm like, dude, you're gonna die at some point, we all are, but like, you're an older guy, you don't need that much money. You probably could live your lifestyle.
He probably has some charities set up, at least on paper.
I'm sure, but
I don't care for Paul McCartney or the Beatles.
I don't care for any of those people that, like, you've got all this money. It's just like it's a task. How much money can
Well, it's
I
like
acquire?
they do those charity concerts, and it's like you don't really need to charge us. You could just come sing for free, and we can celebrate that you're giving millions of dollars to this charity, right? But instead,
Exactly.
they're like, "Hey, come give me,
Pay me to give money away."
for a
Yeah,
poor ticket, probably. That's for a cheap ticket
Yeah.
for probably Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
And then what? Maybe $1 that
right.
goes to the charity.
It's just, how much money do you need?
I don't know.
Like, don't you get any like good feeling
You're
about
starting to
helping
sound
somebody?
like a hippie.
I know.
But I'm with you. I don't need that much money.
But isn't it
I'm
like the
content.
feeling of helping someone? Isn't that like, to me,
That is. But
that
that's,
is better than anything. Like, so if you have $500 million,
that's a American. That's like an American value. It's the much we help each other out more here with our, Christian values. I know nobody wants to hear that, but that's what it's based on: is charity and giving and helping others. It's codified in the Bible. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of people don't realize that, but
yeah.
you go to some other countries and they're like, you guys do way too much for each other. Like,
Oh, Europe are snobs. Like,
yeah.
when
Asia,
I know,
they don't.
yeah.
give
When
like
I
we
did the
do.
cruise over there, the people, like, they don't tip. Europeans don't tip at all whatsoever. They think the service, like, they're entitled to the service, or whatever. Where Americans tip like crazy because, well, we know what it's like to.
Yeah, well,
You know?
we've all either had that job or like Nikki was a waitress. So
Yeah.
I mean, she
Right.
appreciates.
Exactly.
She appreciated it when she worked that in high school and college, and so she tries to repay the favor because That's usually a starter, unless you're in like some highfalutin
Right.
place that
Right.
I might go to once in my lifetime.
Yeah. So I don't know. So then there's another story comes out that the U.S. oil we sent.
Yeah, I sent you that. I
You
guess
sent me
you'd
this.
already seen it
Yeah, and I'd
too.
already seen it, and then I seen it now on
Add
a
it on
bunch
the
of
list.
news places today too. And oil from U.S. reserves heads overseas as gasoline prices soar. So we sent more than 5 million barrels overseas. So the point of
From our strategic reserves.
yes, which our reserve is for us,
It's supposed to be. I mean,
and that
you would think semantically the national
yes,
strategic reserves. I guess there's some strategy to help out. Who we help out? Europe, because they all get their oil from Russia.
right. So yeah, we sent it to Europe, which was supposed to help our gas prices go down a little bit. Which everyone's like, oh, well, gas prices they were $5 a gallon, and now they're $4.69 or $4.70
Yeah,
or
they're
whatever.
about $2 still too high.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so let's just once again prove that the
It's
people,
greed. It's greed all around.
these people around this country don't give a crap about this country.
They don't care.
They want to destroy this country.
It seems like it.
You can't even say seems like it anymore.
Well, in this
I mean,
case,
how many things do you have to do before you're like, yep, they're trying to destroy it?
let's see. It's there. The signs are there that they have no care about us.
Right.
Our own government appears to not really care about alleviating the stressors at home because we have, again, we've already said it, gas prices doubling, or home heating oil prices doubled since last year.
Yeah.
Gas has doubled since last year, more than doubled, or a year and a half. I mean, everything's just going up. Food, electricity.
Yep.
The border remains open.
Yep.
But yeah, they're looking out for our best interests. Like what is the line from 1984? Is that from 1984? Don't believe your lying eyes. Is that from 1984? Or is that just a phrase that somebody came?
I think it's a phrase because I've heard that a lot.
Let me look it up just to make sure I give credit.
You can check that out. You're Mr. Credit. Give the credit where it's due.
No, I want to make sure. I mean, that's a comedian. That's a name of a book.
You find that.
Conversational retrospective of narcissistic trauma recovery. Wow.
So, let me show you the story here.
The wife of a famous comedian caught him in bed with another person. The entertainer was unperturbed and denied that anything improper was occurring. Are you going to believe me or your lying eyes? This remark has been attributed to Groucho Marx. Some say the line was employed in the movie. Yeah, so Groucho Marx maybe. Or somewhere along those. Comedian, Groucho Marx, somebody. But yeah, don't believe what you actually see happening in front of you. Don't trust that. That's kind of like 1984. How they reroute everything every day.
Yeah. I'll skip this next story. We'll save it for tomorrow because I thought I saved the article, but I didn't. So that's fine. So over the weekend, so an 80-year-old woman was stabbed multiple times in a South New Jersey supermarket parking lot, and so I wanted to share this story because it wasn't a gun. So we got a ban all guns, but this woman was attacked by a freaking knife, and then which kind of goes.
Who attacks elderly people? What's wrong with these people?
Sick mother effers. That's who attacks elderly people.
Go apply for government handouts, man. They're giving them out.
Just kind of feeds me into this story because Philadelphia and southern New Jersey are close to each other. And so the mayor of Philadelphia, Jim Kenney, Democrat, not that it matters, but the headline is Dem Mayor demands America adapt gun control like Canada. Only police should have firearms. First of all, that's not true because Canadians have guns.
Well, he just changed it though to where it's.
Well, he's trying to take them, yeah. So now I just want to point this out. So he demands that we take guns out, because the guns are the problem. The guns are the problem. Philadelphia had the highest murders ever in their city last year in 2001. I know people that live in Philadelphia who are begging the mayor to do something because it's so bad. Yet his attorney general, which we talked about a couple weeks ago, lets these violent offenders out on bail and everything else.
District attorney.
District attorney, yes, district attorney, is letting them go. So these people are literally the ones coming in the movie theater saying it's on fire, but they're the ones lighting it on fire, and everyone's supposed to be like, "Oh my God, you're right. We better give up our guns."
Anytime somebody in the government says that you don't need a weapon and it's not whatever, they're lying. All you have
Right.
to do is go study history and study the words of the men who wrote it.
Right.
It's to keep him from lying to you. So when his lies, you're fed up with his lies and you want him gone, it doesn't have to come to violence because they know that you have the capability. Right? It's almost like
But you know what? The people
it's
of
supposed
Philly,
to be a deterrent for the government to be like, hey, we don't want to make our citizens angry. Most of them, it's not just him, but they're out there taunting us, saying,
well, first of all, without the Second Amendment, you have no amendments at all, period. And the people of Philly want to get rid of this moron like so bad. I don't know when he's up for election, but
well,
I've been hearing about this for a year.
Philly allegedly is one of those places, isn't that where they were like covering up the windows so you couldn't watch them count the votes? They had more
I think so.
votes in the middle of the night than what their machines can process, allegedly. I don't know. I'm not a
Nothing to see here, folks.
machine expert, but I've seen that. I don't know that it's true or not, but it's out there if you're interested. You can go read about it.
Yeah. So then we'll switch over to Chicago.
Another great city.
Another great city run by Democrats. Just pointing that out too. There's this common theme here. You notice the theme? Which seems it anyways, right?
It seems there's a couple Republican cities
Yeah.
that are poor, like 2 out of the top 20 for
Right.
crime.
Yeah. So in 2019, so they were talking to the Highland Park
I should
shooter.
correct that. 2 or 3, just in case.
Whatever. There's a few, but
There's
the
a couple.
majority. In 2019, police confiscated numerous knives and a sword from the Highland Park parade shooter after he told family members he was going to kill everyone, but no further action was taken. So you want to talk about red flag laws and all that. The police took this dude's weapons 3 years ago, and then he just did this today. And then like people on Facebook, like, this is why we need mental places opening again, like asylums and stuff. Like, because this dude should be locked up. Like, well, should have been. Now it's just,
He should be treated, right? Like,
we could try to treat him, yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm not a professional, so I don't know if they can
Yeah,
treat him or not. But,
I don't know. I don't.
I'm
yeah.
not saying throw him in a, because there's all the old stories that people would get thrown in there because for who knows whatever reason. So I mean, you don't want that. But in this case, if he's got a broadsword and he's threatening to kill everybody, then maybe he needs.
But they talk about firearms, so I guess then the
to
question.
talk to a professional.
So
But we don't know if he was talking to a professional or not.
no, we don't. We just know that once again he was someone that the police knew about, and then just did something. And
Could you imagine if you were a professional treating one of these people?
no, I couldn't do it.
That would be a lot of guilt,
Yeah,
a lot of soul searching. I'd probably quit my practice and figure out what I'm better at in life because you failed. Right? I mean, that's harsh, but it's true.
but some people you can't fix either.
Yeah, I know, but
Like,
yeah, exactly.
you
But
just-
but did they do everything in their power? Because they are bound by certain laws and everything else. But if
Right, they
if
can't
they
even
communicate that they're going to hurt someone, I think that you can.
by law they're actually
I think they're
required to.
right? Yeah.
But they probably did that, and then that's something they looked at and he's got guns, and so everyone's talked about red flag laws. Like, oh, I need red flag. No, so here's a problem with red flag laws. So Steve pisses me off. Steve has guns, and then I say, you know what? Steve just seems like he's losing his mind. So the police come to your house, they take your guns, and then you have to go back to court and prove that you're
Yeah, the exact opposite of the
exactly.
American justice
There's
system
no
is
due
supposed to
justice,
be.
no due process. There's nothing.
Yeah.
And so you're going
Guilty
through
until you prove your innocence. Which
Exactly.
is not what America's about.
no, and that's the problem with red flag laws. Or you're going through a nasty divorce, and you're like, oh, he's crazy, blah blah blah, because they use it for advantage in court
Leverage, right?
in the divorce. And these are factual cases. This has happened many places.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Red flags laws. First of all, they're not constitutional. They totally go against your rights as a human or as a U.S. citizen, it's ridiculous. So people are like, oh, this would fix it. No, because look at this case. 2019, the cops knew about him, took some weapons from him, and then he did this.
Yeah.
You know?
It's sad. It's
Once again, another dude running around society dressed in a dress and all kinds of other. This dude was weird as crap. But the theme seems to keep lining up. First of all, they're always loners. They're outcasts from society. But we want to just keep entertaining this stuff.
Yeah, it's sad.
It's just messed up.
Weird, and the guy just looks weird.
And then, Mayor Lightfoot there over in Chicago, who Beetlejuice was a week ago saying F Clarence Thomas and F the Supreme Court and all this, is now saying that we need to stop a society that are trying to tear down these basically government, agencies and whatever. And I'm like, really? Because you were the one literally a week ago saying we need to tear it all down. And
dude, it's only the institutions that
they
Democrats
want.
Don't like.
Exactly. And first of all, let's go back to it, because people on Facebook are like, oh, the Supreme Court is trying to make laws and all that. No, they're not. They're just enforcing the laws on the book. If you read the Constitution, if you knew anything about it, it was a state right. It never should have been voted on to start with.
Yeah, if it's not explicitly listed in the Constitution, it goes to the state.
Exactly.
That's not explicitly listed.
And that's not taking your power away. That's actually giving your power back to the people. So now your state can decide.
Right.
Now, if your state decides against how you feel, then you can go to your state and you can try to run for office. You can, and yes, it's not going to be an overnight fix, but the power is back to the people where it belongs, not in the government where it does not belong.
Right. Where you have bureaucrats making up stuff and making decisions that they have no business making.
Exactly. Unelected officials.
I'm not a big fan of bureaucracies.
No. Nope.
People can argue that there's some goodness to some level of bureaucracy because it slows things down or whatever, but I'd much rather just let it be black and white. This is what you can do. Hey, this is this is your property taxes. This is what it's going for. End of discussion. It doesn't need to be a 300-page write-up.
No.
It needs to be like a one-page document so that all of us can read it and understand it. Like you and I shouldn't have to go out and hire the best lawyers that we can't afford because we'll never win.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. I want to show you this other meme tweet. Not mean tweet. Meme tweet. Make sure we get this right.
So it's a meme even though it's a real tweet?
It's a real tweet that was memed. There's probably a word for that. I don't know. But it was Biden. It's Biden. I guarantee he didn't write this because he probably doesn't even know what a phone is. But due to the pandemic, kids are behind in math and reading. We know how to bridge the gap. Yeah, we know how to help bridge this gap. I'm calling on schools to use the American Rescue Plan funds to expand tutoring, summer learning, and after-school programs, and to provide 250,000 more tutors and mentor to our kids. So he's now admitting in a tweet that the pandemic has put these kids behind. But it wasn't the pandemic. It was the policies. It was the mask your kids, shut your schools down.
Yeah, that was a whole bunch of stuff.
I just want to once again point this out.
So my question, you're memeing it, but this is actually what he sent out.
Yeah, it's a real tweet. Yeah.
My question would be is why is he calling on the schools to use the American Rescue Plan funds? What's tied to it? Because there's always a catch.
Right. Wouldn't they use it anyways? Like
if it was there and there was nothing untoward about those funds.
Right.
You would think all schools would be like, yes, we got these funds, let's use them. My suspicions, and I'm just telling you this because you're showing me this for the first time, is that there's something attached to the American Rescue Plan funds.
I'm sure
that's slowing some schools down from using them.
Yeah.
I might be wrong, but my first thing is anytime there's a grant offered is what are the strings that are attached to it?
Like ESSER funds probably requiring kids to wear masks.
Maybe, yeah.
Potentially.
Like allegedly.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look it up.
And I want to point this out so that this fall, when we're probably tasked with this.
When we're going to get scared into
Yes.
submission
Well,
again.
not we, but
Yeah, well, I say we
yeah,
because you and I probably won't, and then
we will not. So when they once again try to say this fall, you need to mask your kids, I am going to come out like freaking hell's fury and be like, oh, that's funny because this policy you've had has screwed these kids up for 2 years and you want to keep doing it. Even though kids don't die of COVID, except, the number that point zero zero blah, blah. Then these are children that unfortunately had horrible underlying conditions that the common cold could have killed them. Yes, let's do that. Let's do that. We don't have enough issues anymore in this country. Like young people
Don't
shooting
look
up
over
places.
here that you can't afford to heat your home anymore, but
Right.
now we're going to scare you with this fact. They're going to come at us from all different angles. Might be my guess. If I were a guessing person.
This will bring us to this next one. Canadian Minister of Health calls for vaccine boosters every 9 months and won't rule out the return of mandates. So now, remember when it was like the one and done,
I
two
don't
and
understand
done?
how like you have some people saying this when I can go find articles even on the mainstream media now where it talks about the efficacy and the kind of did we jump the gun type thing here with these vaccines. Like not even the whole no one was going to take it when they were Trump's vaccines, and whenever Biden won, everybody was all in line and jab happy. Like, am I the only one that remembers this? Like, I've been consistent the whole time, which is no, thank you. I'll wait until like I know of someone who had a personal conversation with someone involved in the vaccine industry, and that gentleman told the guy I know, this is like, so it's hearsay, right? It's a secondhand story, but I have no reason not to trust my source, which is you need to wait like 8 or 9 years, like that, before you even think about it. Like this is way too fast. That's coming not from anyone at Pfizer or Moderna, but like a little small one somewhere in this country.
Yeah.
And so, if there are people who are saying that who are scared to say that publicly because of the repercussions of censorship and cancellation and all this other garbage that goes on. I don't know. I have my doubts, and I will not be participating in this whole shim sham.
So the only reason I think you need them every 9 months is because the vaccine weakens your immune system so much that without the booster,
I don't even know if I would agree with that.
I don't know. I wouldn't do it either way. So whatever. Good luck to you.
I mean, there are credible doctors on the record at all different state houses across this country who have gone on the record under oath saying, these drugs are bad, these drugs are okay. It's all a mind game to get people scared so that you'll go with the solution that they're providing us.
And let's keep in mind that COVID has a less than 1% death rate across the board. Now, once you get to 65 and up, it goes to like 5 point something percent. And of course, these are numbers that who knows lately or can you even trust the numbers?
I don't even know what to trust anymore.
No,
that's why I'm just I'm out of this whole thing. Like I'm not going to even participate in it. Like
but thank God we don't live in Canada. So Canada's trying to take their guns because it's not safe for them. Canada's going to try to shove this mandate down your throat.
They shut down people's bank's account for donating to a cause for people protesting, but then they support other protests. Like
doesn't
so the
Canada,
government's taking sides when the government should be, I don't know.
Canada should be doing what we did in 1776, writing their own declaration to the England saying, F you, we're out. This is our country now. That's what they should be doing because...
And telling Trudeau.
And Trudeau, they should tar and feather him. And, but, so, England is so Canada is technically England, right? I mean, it's his own country, but it's a territory of it.
Commonwealth? Or...
Yeah. But also,
I don't know
so is Australia, which Australia used to be a prison way back, which makes sense now. I mean, first of all, it's got some of the most beautiful beaches and everything, but it also has some of the most deadly, creepy animals there are. But these people in Canada haven't learned from what happened in Australia. Like, they locked people up in, they weren't concentration camps, but what were they called?
COVID camps?
COVID camps. seems like a pretty close thing here, you know.
None of that sounds free and open to me.
Well, they don't have a free and open society,
I
apparently.
know. Well,
Apparently, it's a third world
we're on
country.
our way to not being one either. If people don't wake up and start calling their congressmen, women, and senators and tell them to change course, give them plenty of warning.
Yeah. Now, this has been on here a while, and this is kind of a good transition. So if you hate your country so much, and you're like, you know, after the United States, and I'm going to move out, blah, 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 which they never do. But U.S. basketball star Brittany Griner, what is it? Griner is set to go to trial in Moscow area court. This was like last Friday. After 4.5 months that she's been incarcerated for cannabis possession in Russia, and they're saying she should get 10 years. And she's the one that like basically is pissed on the American flag kind of thing, like, you know, F this country, blah, blah, blah. I bet she doesn't think that no more. I bet she wishes she was in the United States right now.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like, oh, she went somewhere where she shouldn't have with drugs she shouldn't have. And now she's looking at 10 years in jail, in a Russia jail. So let's take a lesson from her. She was all F the United States too, and blah, blah, blah. And now look where she is.
During the national anthem, I think.
Yep. But now look where she is. I bet she'd give anything to come back to the United States right now. The country that's free, that has her laws, and we're not perfect, but we're not Russia. But we're heading this direction. If you haven't noticed yet, if people haven't really noticed yet, that yeah, we
What
haven't.
are you looking at?
Looking at the little red dot that's not on the camera.
So have we been just doing a podcast the whole time?
We might have just done a podcast the whole time. We'll find out in a minute. But yeah, so I wouldn't want to be her. Maybe it's time to like wake up and like smarten up.
Yeah. Choose America.
Yeah, I don't know.
Land of the free. Off for a little while longer, maybe.
Right. Positive Meme Day. Anthony Irvin was a swimmer who won gold at the 2000 Olympics. He retired at 22, began abusing drugs, and at one point being hardly able to get off of a sofa for days and on end. But in 2011, he got back into swimming, and then 2016 Rio Olympics at 35, he became the oldest swimmer to ever win an individual Olympic gold medal. So
you can turn your life around.
You can turn your life
around.
around.
Find yourself in a slump.
Doesn't matter where you start, it's where you finish. So, all right, guys, we'll figure this whole situation out with the camera in a minute. Woohoo! Have a great day, and yeah, we'll talk to you tomorrow.